know we ask you to focus beyond what is normal in your humandom. But when you do focus beyond what is normal, when you get your eyes on the big picture and you accept that you are source energy here reveling in this powerful moment. Now, how can you be eternally focused and focused here in this powerful moment? Abraham, make up your mind. I'm either eternal or I'm in this body. And we say, when you get it that you are both, when you get it that there is a blending that is taking place, and that in this powerful now, you have the ability to focus the wholeness of who you are into this moment, so that when you're having a conversation with someone, in your complete alignment with the wholeness of who you are then evoking the best from them. In your complete alignment with who you are, you're feeling the best in this moment. Your body is thriving the most in this moment. In other words, you didn't come here to be partially alive. You came here as life to express itself in this moment and in this moment and in this moment, to revel in the beauty of your planet and the beauty of the others with whom you share it. You came to revel in life, not to fix broken things, because as we have just been saying to you, Source does not acknowledge anything is broken, just as always expanding. So we say in simple terms, you can't get it wrong and you never get it done. And the reason you can't get it wrong is because it's never done. So if in this moment it feels sort of wrong, it isn't wrong, it's just not done. And in what feels like wrongness to you, there's a new rightness that's being born. And that rightness is the new expansion that is being born. So as you accept that you are always eternally expanding, then it sort of takes the sting out of standing in a place where the contrast is showing you something that you don't want. And what we want to convince you of today, we are determined to do it. We will give you everything that we and Esther has in order to help you understand that if you can accept that in this moment, right here and now, whatever the moment is, wherever you are, on the elevator, in traffic, making love, moving through your life, in whatever way that you are, in every moment in time, there is this juncture where you meet you. And to the degree that you understand that and want to let the fullness of you be there in that moment, then your new decision, your newfound decision that you will leave here with today will be this: I am source energy in a physical body, and the emotion that I strive for is my manifestation of the juncture of that source and me. You have the ability to be fully focused in any moment. You can be fully alive, or you can pinch yourself off. And to the degree that you focus upon good feeling things, you train yourself into that full aliveness. And then a wonderful thing happens. A wonderful acknowledgement occurs to you. And that acknowledgement is, you no longer have to demand of others that they behave or perform in specific ways in order to make your life better. You give up the impossibility of trying to control the uncontrollable, and you begin at once to control the only thing that really is controllable and the only thing that matters, and that is your own personal, in this moment, manifestation of an emotion that feels good to you. You can do that, and you can do it now. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt, however, and say you can do it, and you can do it within 10 minutes. You can bring yourself into alignment within 10 minutes every time. And when you show yourself that, then you're finally free. You're free of everything that ever bound you. Everything that has ever felt binding to you has always and only ever been that one thing. That one thing where you have chosen something in your now to use as your excuse to pinch yourself off from the fullness of who you are. When you choose those things and you say, you are the reason that I can't feel good, then you are bound. When you say, oh, there is no reason for me to have pinched myself off, because I now have full knowledge that I can, within 10 minutes, bring myself into alignment with who I am, then you are finally free. And then you'll be friskily moving through this life experience in good feeling moment after good feeling moment. And people who are watching you will say, what drug are you on and where did you get it? And you'll say, I'm on a natural drug. I've discovered that my physical body is a veritable chemical factory, and that when I get into an emotional place where I feel good, everything in my body works toward releasing everything that is good feeling. And they will say, well, it's obvious to me that you are on something. What is it? And you'll say, It's a very long story. But I can give you a quick version. I just decided to be happy. And they'll say, you are on something, you just won't admit it. You just won't admit it. We are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. It is our intention to drag you kicking and screaming into the vortex. You know, this vortex that we talk about? This vibrational state of being where everything that you are is, everything that you have become vibrationally is. What do you want to talk about? We want to clarify something at the beginning of this conversation. When you use the word contrast, you seem to be talking about unwanted things. And when we use the word contrast, we mean variety from which to choose. In other words, in this variety are unwanted things, which help you to clarify the wanted things. If we could convince you that in that contrast and in that knowing what you don't want, that there is a spark that is lit, there is a rocket that shoots from you of what is wanted, and that is a powerful, important, magnificent, delicious, sought after by source and by you gift. But most people, as you're talking about contrast, are not seeing the gift that comes from it, because you're stuck in the contrast. And even the way you began your conversation here, it's sort of like contrast. Yeah, there's this bad stuff that's happening, and this bad stuff that's happening, yeah, I get it, that it puts stuff in my vortex, but this bad stuff that's happening. And we want you to understand that you've got the emphasis in the wrong place in all of this. If we can convince you that the desire that's born, that fresh desire that is born, is a wonderful manifestation, and that if you would focus upon it, then you would experience the full realization of all of that, then you would start blessing every bit of contrast that gave birth to every bit of that allowed all of that. Are you following? So as you see something that you can't change because you are not the creator of their reality, there is something that you can change, and that's the way you feel. And you've been there, because even when someone else is suffering, or even when someone else is afraid, or even when someone else is living something unwanted, you have the ability to focus in a way that you don't feel that way. You can distract yourself, or you can even find peace with whatever it is. And you could actually feel your heart begin to sing again, because that's natural. And in fact, you do that. You do it all the time. And then you feel guilty because it doesn't feel right to you that your heart should sing when someone else is suffering. And we've been saying, and it sounds frivolous in this vernacular, but we've been saying you can't get sick enough to help sick people get well, and you can't get poor enough to help poor people become prosperous, and you can't become confused enough to bring clarity to others. And we appeal to your logic, you know that. But what it really comes down to is you can't help anyone unless you are fully aligned with this energy of your source. And you can't be fully aligned with the energy of your source when you are feeling sorrow, when you are feeling sadness, or when you are feeling guilt. So what is it about you humans? It's so interesting. We love you so much, but you are so willing to deprive yourself of the fullness of who you are. And in this case, you're telling us because others are doing it. Others have deprived themselves of the fullness of who they are. And so I just don't think it's right for me to be the fullness of who I am. And we say, thank goodness Source doesn't do that. In other words, the only reason you could ever feel negative emotion is because you've chosen a vibration that the Source within you doesn't choose. If the Source within you would choose that same negative, full of resistance vibration, you wouldn't feel any separation. Have you ever had a conversation with someone where you're high and they're low in terms of vibration? They feel crummy and you feel high. And the longer you talk with them, it's like, all right, what's going to happen here? Are you coming up or am I coming down? Because one or the other is going to happen here. If we're going to insist on hanging around together, it's a natural process in the desire to communicate. And so you hold your ground, they hold their ground. In other words, it's sort of a stalemate. And then they hit one of your buttons and down you come. Now you're communicating. And we say, on what level do you want to communicate? And what you're saying is, I feel guilty when I stay up here. I feel guilty. And we say, well, if you can maintain that, one of two things will happen. They'll come up there with you, or they'll gravitate out of your experience. And you say, and if they gravitate out of my experience, then I'll feel more guilt. And we say, you got to get your act together. You got to decide who you are. Who are you? Are you source energy in a physical body? Are you? Are you source energy in a physical body? Then why would you put up with these emotions that don't feel like that? And we say you do it out of practice, you do it out of habit, you do it because most of it you can stand. In other words, you can stand most negative emotions because they don't take you to your knees. Most negative emotion is tolerable. You're used to feeling ornery, and you're used to feeling overwhelmed, and you're used to being angry. You're just used to it, and so you put up with it. And so you hang around in those vibrations, even though it's a huge deprivation of who you are, because you could be soaring, and you could be floating, and you could be laughing, and you could be feeling joy. You could be and should be feeling all of those wonderful things. And why for a moment you put up with any of that other stuff? It's only because you've been trained with a lot of others who have been putting up with that other stuff. Until finally you come to a place sometimes where there's really something that you care about that you can't control through any behavior. And you've got no choice, if it is your desire to feel good, other than to find a way of feeling good anyway. And when you do, you turn a vibrational corner where you finally find alignment with who you really are. And then everything that doesn't match that has to fall away from your experience, you see. Every conversation that you have comes on the heels of what you're doing emotionally. It's just a fact. And when you make your emotion your primary manifestational goal, then you've got it. Then you've got a handle on everything. Practice it. Make a decision that you're going to shift emotion about something and find a way to shift the emotion, and then watch the series of events that take place. I want to show you how the vortex is the holder of all things that you want, but the vortex is the holder of the vibrational equivalent of them, and they still are going to flesh out for you in specifics. And if you could stop being so concerned about the specifics fleshing out to which you would then have an emotional response, and start focusing upon the emotional response that you have control over now, then you will begin to see how the fleshing out occurs after you achieve the emotional response. We've been saying vortex first, then manifestation. Now we're saying to you, manifestation of emotion first, and then more detailed manifestations following that. What we're showing you is how worlds are created. We're showing you how you are the creator of your own reality. We're showing you how to find the basis of your vibration from which everything else will follow. But if you start not at the basis, if you start out there in the specifics and you don't have control over the specifics, and you don't, then you'd never get what you want. You just complain about contrast your whole life. We've enjoyed this interaction immensely. It really has been co-creating of it today. It is satisfying for us to say to you that you can accomplish anything that you set your mind to, and feel so many of you resonating with that so completely. In other words, there is a paradigm shift that is afoot, because there are masses of you who are understanding the vibrational nature of your being, the emotional nature of your being. Above all other things that we have accomplished in the hours that we've been together here today, it is our desire that you leave with this sentiment brewing and expanding within you. And that is that what is, whatever it is really, really, really a good thing. Because it is the starting point of your journey that we promise will be satisfying to you. And if you can get hold of that, then let the good times roll. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain in the vortex. Have a nice day. Yeah. All right. Bye.